all the false talk about massive voter fraud, a complete fiction, even according to the conservative Hoover Institution, the Heritage Foundation. A complete fiction.
Wow. What an accusation. What a crazy, absurd, ridiculous, and frankly insulting accusation. I think he owes the American people...
Welcome back to the channel. Did you guys just see that? Seriously, I had to pause the video because my blood was already boiling. We are watching Adam Schiff, the king of the smoke and mirrors routine, stand up there with a straight face and tell us that asking for an ID to vote is disenfranchising people. Give me a break. How many times have we seen this guy try to sell us a narrative wrapped in a fancy suit? Every time he opens his mouth, it's like he's living in an alternate reality where basic common sense is somehow controversial. Schiff is honestly the ultimate pencil neck politician. All talk, zero logic, and 100% focused on keeping the system as messy as possible. But then enters Mike Lee. You can tell Senator Lee has had enough. He isn't just rebutting, he's going straight at the argument because he knows exactly what we're all thinking. Why is this even a debate? Buckle up, guys, we're going to watch the rest of this. And I want you to pay attention to how Schiff tries to squirm when Lee starts dropping actual facts. This is going to be intense. Let's get into it.
It's so hard for Americans to exercise a constitutional right, because Donald Trump has admitted the true aims of this bill. If the Save America Act becomes law, he says the Republican Party will, quote, never lose a race in 50 years. This is what this bill is designed to do. It is designed to lock in a Republican majority for half a century by locking you out of the polling place. Former or soon-to-be former Secretary Kristi Noem said that we need to make sure the right people are voting. Well, who are the right people? The right people, I guess, are people they expect to vote for the president's party. This is a deliberate campaign to undermine confidence in our elections. The seizing of ballot boxes in Georgia meant to undermine confidence in our elections. The subpoenaing of records in Maricopa County meant to undermine our confidence in elections. All the false talk about massive voter fraud, a complete fiction, even according to the conservative Hoover Institution, the Heritage Foundation. A complete fiction.
Wow. What an accusation. What a crazy, absurd, ridiculous, and frankly insulting accusation. I think he owes the American people an explanation as to how requiring proof of citizenship to vote is tantamount to racial segregation laws. Racial segregation laws under the banner of Jim Crow that the Democratic Party itself forced on a substantial portion of the American population over many decades in one of the most evil legislative tirades in American history for a prolonged period of time. Why he would want to draw any parallel to Jim Crow is beyond the ability of this senator to understand. I don't get it. And frankly, the American people aren't buying it, nor should they. They've told us that requiring photo ID somehow, quote unquote, disenfranchises women. Madam President, I can't think of anything more racist. I can't think of anything more misogynistic than saying that people of color or women, whether married women or otherwise, are incapable of obtaining an ID and proof of citizenship. That is frankly insulting. Something that millions of Americans do every single day, often many times a day, to get a job, to board a plane, to open a bank account, to enroll in school, to shovel snow in New York City. For that matter, to go to the Oscars, the Emmys, the Grammys, the Super Bowl, almost any theatrical production, and yes, Madam President, to get into the Democratic National Convention. To get into the Democratic National Convention, you've got to show photo ID, and you've got to establish credentials showing that you have a right to be there and to participate in that event. So, Madam President, if the Save America Act is Jim Crow 2.0, then so too is the Democratic Party itself. So too are the campaign rallies hosted by my friend and colleague, the senator from Georgia, up for re-election this year, who recently advertised a campaign rally and announced on the same website that to get into said campaign rally, you would have to show photo ID. This bill makes it easy to vote and hard to cheat. They're happy with exactly half of the equation and not the other half. But you can't have both and have a functioning representative government. You can't have half of the equation and have a successful constitutional republic. It doesn't work. Now, here's today's headline from Politico. Quote, I'm not exaggerating this. I don't write the news, I just report it. Quote, why climate champions are sweating the Save America Act. It goes on to say, quote, if Republicans do ultimately succeed in getting a version of the bill passed, environmentalists and some Democrats fear it could damage the democratic process ahead of November's midterm elections and suppress the will of climate-minded voters and candidates, close quote. The level of hyperbolic panic, of paranoid fantasy from the Democrats and the media enterprises they control is telling, and it's stunning, because the only way this bill changes election outcomes is if those outcomes have been dependent on votes that shouldn't have been counted to begin with. If that's part of the plan, then I can understand the panic. That's the reality.
Mike Lee absolutely schooled him. Schiff didn't just lose that argument, he got exposed. Did you hear the list Lee read off? You need an ID to get a job. You need an ID to get on a plane. You need an ID to open a bank account. You even need an ID to get into the Democratic National Convention. Schiff and his crew want to act like the average American is somehow too incapable of getting a piece of plastic with their face on it, but they will demand that same plastic at their own private events. The hypocrisy is actually mind-blowing. Schiff's whole half-a-century Republican majority line, that's pure fear-mongering. It's what you say when you know you can't win an honest debate. If your only strategy for winning is making sure the gate is left wide open with nobody checking credentials at the door, maybe your ideas just aren't that strong, Adam. And let's talk about that look on his face. He's standing there looking all smug, but you can see it in his eyes. He's got nothing. He's trying to link voter ID to Jim Crow. It's insulting. It's insulting to history, and it's insulting to every legal voter in this country. Mike Lee called it exactly what it is: crazy, absurd, and ridiculous. The bottom line is this: the SAVE Act is about one thing, making sure that your vote actually counts. Because when you let the system stay wide open and sloppy, as Lee implies Schiff wants it, the only person who loses is the American citizen. Lee is the kind of voice a lot of people feel we need right now. He's standing in the gap, forcing these guys to actually defend their arguments, and Schiff just couldn't do it. He had to sit there and take it because there is no logical defense for being against a secure election. What do you guys think? Is Adam Schiff the most out-of-touch guy in DC or what? Drop a comment below. I want to hear if you're as fired up as I am. Don't forget to smash that like button for Mike Lee's strong performance, and subscribe if you're tired of the Schiff Show.